Please let me in. Are you my mummy?
A mysterious, organic-looking spaceship crashes into Earth near a nuclear power complex. Of course, this gets the attention of the Doctor, Joe, and Unit, who naturally get right to the site. However, they are also joined by Mr. Chin of the Ministry of Defence, who has other intentions. They find a race of gold aliens who offer a stone called Axonite that will solve many of the world's issues as a gift. But are they really trustworthy? Find out as we review The Claws of Axos, written by Bob Baker and Dave Martin, directed by Michael Ferguson, and was first broadcast on the 30th of March to the 3rd of April 1971.
Hello and welcome to this Eyes of Harmony podcast review of The Claws of Axos. So, these are creatures which keep getting kind of mentioned by New Who writers.
Yeah, they never really appear, ever.
Yeah, I know, it's kind of weird how people have kind of tied on to them.
They appeared in no alternate Doctor Who universe until 2010.
It was ages later when they first appeared.
And even now, they don't really appear in anything at all. It's kind of bizarre considering how iconic they kind of become.
For some reason, I don't know why.
They're cool designs, to be honest with you.
That is one of the good things about this story, the actual villains and monsters. But in terms of this story, I'm actually not that big of a fan. I
have to say, upon my first watch, I completely I kind of the episode with kind of a meh, kind of there kind of feeling, and I got that. Episode 1 is pretty abysmal. It's really bad. But it actually
does pick up.
Yes.
Especially the last episode. So, it's kind of when the Master gets more involved does it actually get a bit better, I think.
It's true. Not that I think he really contributes that much to the story, really.
No, but I think it kind of...
You could have entirely cut him. I
think actually this improved the Master. Well, one, the Master improved the story, I think. Yeah. Having him in there, it added a bit of interest, to be honest. 2... it kind of it wasn't just he wanted to take over, it shows that he only goes out for himself. You know, he took them to Earth only to bargain for his own life and TARDIS.
Yes.
That's why. He wasn't trying to overtake the Earth, he was just trying to live.
Pretty much.
And I like that. I like that it really added to the Master and kind of what he does and what drives him to do what he does. He doesn't just want to take over.
And that is a common theme throughout the entire episode in terms of the Master's plot in terms of this. But okay, I guess we kind of jumped very far.
So it kind of starts with this approaching...
I have to say, bad point immediately. They show the monster before they show the kind of nice form of them.
Yeah.
Because... the thing is that in the episode they kind of tried to make this kind of moral confliction, but they do that by showing the nicer versions, tried to kind of push them as these are the Axons, and they are these nice looking,
golden
nice
things.
creatures, and they kind of have convinced enough people in the episode, but yet we've already seen the form of them, so it's it's already removes a suspension. Oh, they're monsters. Okay. They've already seen them as monsters. Okay.
Yeah.
It immediately,
It does take away... I mean, I just don't like... It's just a really boring beginning. I'm sorry. The Conservative MP and everything...
It's a terrible beginning. The pacing is all over the place. So, we see this spaceship crashing, and there's, weird cuttings between, bits of this meeting going on. There's, they're talking in a room, and then they cut away, and they're talking about the Martyr for some reason, and they cut back, and the Doctor's shouting, and, oh, look, there's an old man, he's got on the bicycle, he's going for a little jolly, and then he chucks a bicycle to the side of the road, and he picks up another bicycle and kicks it for some reason, then he goes back onto his original bicycle for no reason, and then he gets hit, and then there's, back to talking about more stuff, and it's...
Yeah,
it's blimmin' all over the place. It's blimmin' all over the place.
Why that tramp? We don't care about him.
Why okay, he's a victim. He's a demonstration of a victim. That's fine. right? That would have been fine if we'd seen him for like a scene or two, maybe.
Thing is
he's in it for like 5 scenes, and like the bicycle scene, as I mentioned just there.
It makes no reason for you to like him.
There's no purpose. Like he's cycling along on his own bicycle. He stops by the side of a road. He picks up another bicycle, and then he drops it and kicks it for no reason. Why does he go to the other bicycle? What is the purpose? That scene could have been entirely cut, and that would be no reason.
I quite like it when he falls in the lake, though. Only because he was annoying me with his bloody sound effects. Like, say some freaking words, man. You're not like, you know, you're not like unable.
There was no purpose
mute,
for that.
You know,
and like, okay,
no, so, I think they handled him wrong. I think the tramp would have been a worthwhile character if he'd made us like him. Say there was a moment where he was feeding some pigeons or something, it looked like he actually, you know, didn't deserve to be a tramp. Not this dumb, violent kind of person who deserved what he got.
I mean...
Also, what idiot tramp runs to an alien spaceship? And runs around it? He does this weird run around it and go, hurrah, hurrah, hurrah. When I see something interesting, I don't run around it like a complete idiot.
If I'd agree with you if they, like...
They should have made
if they keep the same amount of scenes, I'd agree that we might want to make him like him.
Just like
But if we only saw him for, like, a scene, maybe 2... Then, you know, I
just don't get why they kept cutting to him.
Yeah, there was no reason for that.
Too many times. They should have just shown it once.
As I mentioned, the scene with in the place itself is all over the place, because you have, like, the scene when the Brigadier, they're demanding the doctor's papers and such for reasons, and then they talk, this American guy comes in for some reason, and he's talking about the Master for some reason, and they come in, and then the Doctor's angry for some reason, like, immediately after. There's no transition to that. He's just 0 to 100. And then it's like...
So, yeah.
And, like, everything feels so rushed. And, like, a few seconds after that, they're told about the spaceship.
And they head over to the spaceship.
Yeah, it's like...
I don't get... So Ben Filer goes in. As the cars are coming toward... No, he gets dragged in by that arm thing. And there's these cars in the distance which are coming towards the ship. How do they not see that? Like, surely you'd have soldiers with eyes on the frickin' spaceship when that happens.
I have to say, the fact that the military defense guy, his first reaction after hearing about the spaceship is to arrest Bill Filer. Where did that come from? Why would he... It's an American representative.
Yeah.
It's a representative... an ally. Why the heck could you immediately jump to... Right, you're going to be under arrest if you don't leave immediately. Like, you know, just say it nicely, and then perhaps if he refuses, threaten it. But, like, it's immediately like, alright, there's an alien spaceship. Get out or you're under arrest. Like, it comes out of blimmin' nowhere.
Yeah.
Like...
So, yeah, it's
and also have to say, the spaceship itself looks like an anus.
It does look like an awful.
And in fact, in the inside doesn't really help that either.
No.
Like, it looks like the inside...
Now, I will give it its credit where it's due. The use of real set and green screen works really well.
It's significantly better than, say, the Green Death. It fits a lot better here.
It's better than Underworld as well.
That too.
You have to have the actual ground made for the actors to stand on, and then green screen walls works okay. It's when you have green screen floors does it just not work, because you can see that the feet aren't on the kind of solid ground.
I have to say also, these... Sorry, actually, yeah, I've talked a lot. You can...
I really like... I like the way that the Master's introduced already as prisoner. It's kind of, that's nice. So he's just there.
It's a bit different.
And then we see the Axons in their golden form, and I quite like their costumes. I think they're quite nice.
Yeah,
I like it.
I mean, there's a reason they kind of became more of an iconic design than they are an iconic monster.
Yeah,
it's kind of a distinct, unique design.
I like what they offer, like the Axonite and how it grows a frog. Now, my question: so you're going to use green screen or blue screen? Why would you use an animal which one shines, so the light would shine on it, or one that's partly green?
I guess because it's one of the ones that least like to run off.
A rabbit, it
can easily run off.
Not if you hold one of its paws or so.
Frogs are quite flaccid, more like to just kind of lie around.
Hop away though.
No, not unless you.
I mean, all you need is for a few seconds. Rabbits or guinea pigs even sit still for ages if you try. It's like or at least a mouse. So, you know,
But I think
like,
it kind of left the moment of like.
because you could see all the green screen.
I think part of the reason for that was the line of like, we've brought food source. You do eat these, right? And they're like, no. It's like,
excuse me, the French eat frog legs, so I think you'll find that they are lying, and we will give the world frog legs.
I have to say, also, well, actually, just in general, like these first 2 episodes, Joe does nothing.
Yeah, why does Joe go into the freaking spaceship?
No, Joe is in touch.
She just goes in there.
In the first episode, Joe gets like 2 lines.
I know.
And then she decides to head into the spaceship, and nobody stops her.
No, yeah, I don't get that.
Highly specified spaceship. Some person just wanders in. Oh, okay. Enjoy. That's nice.
Oh yeah, at one point, Sergeant Benton and then Captain Yates find the dead body of
the old
the tramp. They poke his face, and it starts to crumble, and then the screen goes white. I'm interested if they had to cut that.
Yes. I remember there is a cut scene. It was too gruesome.
Yeah, because it looked like it was going to be pretty gross, and it just kind of went to white.
Yeah, no, there is a cut. I do remember that.
Bit weird. But yeah.
Oh, actually, there's a few nice small lines here. So, like, there's I remember one scene they're talking to the I can't remember the military defense guy's name, but basically they're talking to him on the radio, and he's talking in cyber after he found out the Axonite. He's like, "Should I scramble?" He's like, "Just a report. And should I be scramble enough?"
There are some nice moments.
There are some nice moments.
It's not completely bad. It more picks up later on, though.
Yeah, I mean,
the first cliffhanger is actually all right.
Actually, also. The guy from the scientist from the power plant, why were they allowed to go into the ship? Why were they allowed to stay around?
There's lots of flaws, and I think that was the same in Underworld as well, also written by the same people, Bob Baker and Dave Martin. There's just lots of, I think, problems with it. I'm just trying to read about if they did cut that bit.
They did. I do remember that from like a special feature, I think.
Just trying to read it. Nothing on here, annoyingly. But yeah, so his face melts, and that is pretty. I think they should have just kept that, but I guess it's a bit gruesome. But I mean, they've done other stuff.
Not at this point. Later on, they did.
But yeah, I mean, the first cliffhanger's okay, where she just sees the thing and screams.
Yeah.
And I mean, but we already saw the red creature, so there was no point.
Yeah, exactly. There was no real.
So
it would be so much better if they hadn't shown that.
Then they find Joe, and they don't believe her. But then the doctor kind of did, but he didn't say because he didn't want Axons to know. And then I have
to say, there's one moment because at some point they reabsorb and then they kind of become back to that red creature. The effect they use on the
face,
that is really kind of cool. That actually,
when the face was supposed to it was actually supposed to expand the face, but the lady wore it wrong. It's actually a production error there.
It kind of works.
It did work, but it didn't actually work how it was supposed to. But yeah, I think the mouth ended up. Her mouth ended up where the nose was, so yeah, it didn't expand properly. But yeah, I mean, there were some cool moments, and
actually, acting quality generally is good as well.
Yeah, I really like John Pertwee. Yeah, no, I like John Pertwee in this one. I don't think it's his best.
No, it's not his best story, but I do like it.
I think he was best in episode 4, actually, the cliffhanger near the end. But yeah, I mean, I think it's the conservative guy really annoys me about why does he think that this Axonite is going to be so good? Like, what? Why is he this thick, man? First, he wanted to blow them up.
Satire, I think, or some sort of like, because like a lot of stories from around this area make it some sort of political statement. Like a lot of the stories from that's kind of something that Barry Letts and Terror of the State specifically always kind of made sure to put into every story something, and I think it works in some episodes better than others. Some sort of political statement. In this one, it's clearly about like. Messing with things you don't understand, and very much about like Britain trying to get to it first and making sure they get exclusive distribution rights.
Like, first he didn't trust them, and he hadn't even met them. Then suddenly he trusts them loads. It's like too much.
Well, it's because the Doctor was the one who was trying to force everybody to kind of understand their point of view, but it kind of backfires on him in this case because he's too effective at it.
Right. Now, the best bit from episode 2 is the 2 bill filers. That fight scene is awesome.
It's pretty cool, yeah.
That was really well filmed. Like, actually, when I watched it, I was like, cool, now it's getting good, because I forgot about that scene. That was really well filmed. The stunt double looked exactly like him with the hair. It was really, really good. And the fight was good. I was really impressed.
And the way he kind of got into the machine and all that.
Yeah, it all worked out, and it was a really good fight scene.
I have to say, like, the scientist guy, actually, first off, when they brought the Doctor back to the base, when they're all kind of... The bickering there is kind of nice. Like, I like the bickering between the scientists is like, you know... And he actually plays a scientist is really good, though. You can't imagine how they keep him around after saying some of those things. He's kind of... And what does Doctor hope to achieve by mentioning he can time travel? Like, really? Yeah. What was he hoping to achieve with that? That just kind of made the whole thing... That just kind of reduces credibility entirely. But I have to say, like... the machine... He said, "Oh no, it's going to break, and that'd be thousands of pounds worth of equipment." But yet, nothing like that really happens. Like they use it on both the guy and the Axonite, and the machine is perfectly intact.
Yeah,
like
there's no problem.
What was the warning about? Like that didn't really come to anything. I guess just too worried.
I mean, the cliffhangers in these episodes are all pretty naff. Like episode 2 cliffhanger, it's just the creature again comes through the doorway and the Doctor's like, "Oh no,
it's red and it's got rope on it."
It's a weed.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the Master's escape's pretty cool as well. When he gets away from the Axons because he's saying, "Oh, I can try to spread the information across," but then he like jumps on the truck and he's...
Oh yeah, that was an awesome moment. And then how he hypnotizes the soldier through the mirror.
Yeah, they kind of grabs onto the side
and you just see him in the mirror. I was like, why is he being that obvious? And then he's hypnotizing him.
Such a cool Master moment. Like it makes me so sad they don't use the hypnosis because that's like one of the coolest traits of the Master.
Yeah, possibly in the episode that we're about to watch today, Extremis Airs today, there could be some. I think possibly from the small clip that they've released, it looks like Missy has possibly used hypnosis. So yeah, hopefully they have brought it back because, I mean, but no one could do the hypnosis better than Roger Delgado.
No, the eyes
and the way he talks. Ooh. So yeah, episode 2 at the end actually really picked up.
Yes,
it did. Episode 1 is abysmal though, so...
Yeah, episode 1 is dribble. Episode 2 gets better.
Like, you could probably watch it on, like, ×1 forward, you know, where it speeds up, but you can still hear everybody speaking. That's the kind of speed you could watch episode 1 on. So, yeah, so then they get taken back to the ship, Joe and the Doctor, and they get interrogated, and that's a pretty slow scene.
Yeah, it kind of slows down a bit here. Like everything else, interesting.
It dips at the start of the episode, then it picks up at the end.
I also have to say there's this kind of weird thing where the controls are coming back. The control of the operation is going back and forth between the Brigadier and the
other guy. Yeah,
and they're just going back and forth and back and forth. And actually, because the Brigadier and the others are being held in a room. And the Brigadier points the gun at the guy straight up at some point. Oh no, that's in the that's when they're leaving the spaceship. Actually, when he what the assessment. But it's like that's not in the Brigadier's character. Like he wouldn't point a gun at like a person of high authority. Like even if he thinks that, like that's completely out of left field and out of character. Like we see him in like even in later stories, like Invasion of the Dinosaurs. He's kind of following orders. He's a soldier. He somewhat follows orders. He wouldn't point a gun at somebody, especially if it's going to risk his credibility. Like that would lose him his job. That's completely out of left field and out of character.
One bit earlier on, at the start of episode 3, is actually very good, where the Axons almost aged Joe to death. That's when Axons almost aged Joe to death.
Yeah, no,
that is really intense. Actually, that is a really cool moment. Yeah. And like she's getting older and older, and the Doctor's like, "No." Really cool moment, and that was actually, the
Axon's plan in general is pretty darn good.
I like how the Axons is all one creature, like the Axonite, everything's connected. That is really nice. I really, really like that. Really, really cool.
It's kind of an interesting idea, yeah.
I do like that,
and the fact that the idea was to basically manipulate the humans and get them to spread it all across the world in order to yeah, so it would expand and kind of cover the Earth in Axonite. That is kind of a different kind of idea, because it hasn't been done much before.
Yeah.
I also have to say, the cover-up, like, we went to the Bill Filer fight, and then Bill Filer's found that lying on the floor, and then the Axons come along and basically cover it all up. Like, and that was really kind of cool. Like, they're manipulating everything. They're just trying to get the humans' trust while trying to manipulate everything to their own gain. It's kind of a really neat idea.
Yeah, no, it was really, really nice. It reminds me a bit of a Rackweed and the Sarah Jane Adventures kind of thing. It's the same kind of plot,
no,
really,
it's a kind of similar kind of idea. Yeah, and it kind of is, only kind of different methods.
Yeah, they're more kind of upfront when it comes to the invasion with the Rackweed.
Yeah, and they're talking to people other than, like, the main characters.
Yeah.
Also, I have to say, like, we mentioned Joe's aging to death. Doctor, immediately after that, the Doctor talked to the eye thingy, the Axon.
The Axon eye, yeah.
Yeah, and basically he's like, you can't do this. You can't, can't just walk in and grab it. On the contrary, Doctor, we can.
I love that.
I love that line.
The way it was delivered, I actually had that written down in my notes. I love that.
That's what I
On
said.
the contrary, Doctor, we can. And then one of the soldiers completely explodes.
Yeah, and then when they reach out the arm, that's a bit later.
See, one explodes completely, and then two just kind of get little explosions on their chests.
Well, no, the other two guys was a bit different. So the guy who exploded from a distance, they had the.
They went right after it. Yeah.
It was like the claw arm thingy, the tentacle.
Was it?
The other two guys, I think the Axel came. Yeah, no, they're slightly different.
That explosion is intense. I like how the Brigadier doesn't try anything though. It's like he knows that it's lost cause.
Yeah, that's true. I have to say though, like, I mean, we talked about how good the Master is in general, but like, he's kind of second.
I don't get how Benton didn't realise it was the Master who got the TARDIS there. It's like the only reason Benton doesn't realise it's the Master is one, he does wear a mask, but it's like he looks straightforward, I guess, which is quite good because that's what soldiers do. So I mean, it's kind of like it did work actually, but I really like the cliffhanger to episode 3 definitely gets cliffhanger of the week where the Master is like it's either
we do cliffhanger of the week now.
Yeah, it's either them or the world. It's either the Doctor and like the Brigadier's like no, and it's like but we kind of have to. Dang it! And then it's like but like I think it should have cut on the Master just turning the thing. I don't think it should have ended on like the Joe and the Doctor just kind of act wobbling around. That kind of ruined it. But I think if it ended with the Master's speech, I think that would have been a lot better. But it still is definitely the best cliffhanger.
Actually, I know when they're heading towards the core, the Axons. Like, there's this really weird scene where there's this, like, glass bridge, and there's an Axon running on it, and they suddenly, like, really low frame rate for some reason. Like,
yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Why? What? Like, I guess it's a slow motion, but, like, that just kind of... It was odd. It was odd.
So, the Master's plan fails, and Joe and the Doctor escape the complex, which was okay. Joe really does nothing in this episode, actually.
Well, this is
I really can't think of anything notable that she's done.
In the, as I was taking the ship, her sensors kind of go into overdrive. She's kind of losing it.
Oh, yeah, no, I get that.
That's kind of a cool moment, actually.
It's small. It's not really companion-worthy, though. Like,
Joe's completely useless here, it's true.
But yeah, I like when the Doctor then like talks to the Master and they're like, let's get out of here.
Oh yeah, no, it's just that is like one of the coolest moments in this episode. It's just
when John Pertwee and Roger Delgado have their conversations on screen. It is always a good scene.
And the fact is that the Doctor's like, oh yes, well, you think I like it here, being stuck with this second-rate planet, and there's like, and the way he talks to it to everybody else, like. As well, like right in the middle of where the crisis is happening.
Yeah, and it's like, bye. It's like, Joe, I will miss you.
Yeah, I know. It's really such a good moment. It really is.
I love it when the Doctor's about to leave and then he like takes the bit out of the TARDIS just in case you thought of leaving without me. And like the Master chuckles. It's like they are friends, It's kind of just a messed up friendship.
It's a very messed up friendship.
It's like when you support different football teams, but they're like enemies to each other. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, that's what it kind of feels like. They kind of, will cheer and, prank each other, but in the end of the day, they still kind of like each other in a weird way, you know?
Yeah. The Doctor says that, especially to the others, completely straight, and he really John Pertwee really portrays it like he's going to go through with it completely. Like it's really, really good. And then
they get to the Axon ship, don't they? And then
yes, and the Doctor's like, well, yeah, change the plan slightly.
Yeah,
you know?
and then he's going to put them in a time loop. Originally they didn't let the Master in the TARDIS, but then suddenly they just let him in.
Well, it's because the Doctor's really distracting them, I think.
I guess, but I mean, like...
It's a bit, yeah.
It's a bit random. It's like suddenly, like...
Well, because... when the Master escapes, the Doctor's already putting it through the time loop. And
I guess so. Oh, yeah, because then he said he possibly could have escaped. But yeah, so then...
Also, I have to say, there's this cool scene where...
Well, the Axles are attacking the...
Yates and Benton in the car. And, like...
Oh, that scene! That was really cool. Yes, that was cool. That happens just before this, actually, before the Doctor leaves. Now, I think the problem is at one point... I think I heard it correctly. At one point, as he's reversing, one of the Axons just falls off the back. And it just reminded me of a Teletubby falling to the ground. You used to do the roll silly, around.
Yeah.
I swear I heard the actor inside the costume go, ah! But, yeah, cool thing. The grenade went off too early when it was going down the hill. It was supposed to go down the hill and explode in the distance. But it exploded right at the top, and I think it looks so much cooler.
It looks cool, the flaming car dashing down the hill. That is such a cool moment.
I think it was better that it messed up. Because you actually saw the Axon explode as well.
Yeah, no, you did.
So, good old mistakes.
It really works.
There's actually a mistake in that end fight when they're all being attacked in the room by the Axons, because the Doctor's already dematerialised his TARDIS, but actually in one shot you can see the TARDIS clearly in the background. It'll be on screen now, but you can clearly see it. It's just as they're running for cover, you see the TARDIS just there. And it's
Axon
like,
hallucinations.
Yeah, I guess so. Also, yeah, they had to add in that line about weather problems, because in some moments it was sunny and then snowy.
Well, it really only affected... The snow was only really there for the tramp scene, which they could have entirely cut. It was like the thing where he picks up and ducks on the bike. So, really, there was no need for it at all. No.
But, the Doctor puts them in the
It's all quite high intense. They're all being attacked.
Yeah.
And then the Doctor, they get the timing.
And then they all kind of fade away, which is fine, it's...
And then they got the Doctor clamped.
There's a really funny moment when the one in front, Mike Yates, and as it kind of goes away, Mike Yates is still there, just going oh no, get away with his arm, both the creature's gone, and it's really funny. It is really funny.
Actually, the fading effect is actually blended really quite well.
It is nice, yeah, it is quite nice.
It's worth, yeah.
But yeah, it's just funny that the Mike Yates is still kind of reacting to something that isn't there. It's like, yo, Mike, it's gone, calm down. But it's kind of weird how the Doctor's kind of clamped to the TARDIS. Did they just walk in or what? I don't know, it's cool, and then he reaches for the thing, but I'm confused on why those Axons didn't get brought with him.
They're part of the ship.
Yeah, I guess they kind of faded away. But actually, if we go by that logic, then the Husbands of River Song thing wouldn't have worked, because you can't have a body inside and out. And you can't take off. Plot holes everywhere.
Don't really thought about that.
There we go.
And yeah, they all...
I like it how the Doctor walks out. He's like, "Oh, this space is going to explode." Then gets back in the TARDIS.
Cause that's what Joe Cutter says. Well, the fact that everyone has to dash out and there's
it's not a John Pertwee story if the base doesn't blow up at the end.
Yeah, and it's a really cool explosion as well.
It's quite a nice one, yeah. But it's kind of a running trait of John Pertwee stories. The location of a bad guy's place explodes. We need to actually count how many times that happens out of all his stories, because I think it's quite a few.
There is a decent amount of them, yeah.
Demons, that one, the
other one, and that one.
Yeah, the other one.
Yeah.
And there's a big explosion at the end at Mind of Evil, isn't there? I'm trying to think of some others.
Silurians,
big explosions at the end.
Is there an ambassador? No.
No, that kind of
The explosion's in the middle.
Yeah, it's kind of
There
That
are decent amount of explosions.
But yeah, so
and somehow
I like it when he tries to explain the time loop.
Yeah,
so it's
it's kind of weird. Like
this
they come back to this like the part of the power plant, the exploded base, but it still managed to remain intact. Basically, that
was
room.
really weird. That room. I'm like, why don't you just go somewhere else?
Yeah.
Anyway, and he's like, I just like how John Pertwee tries to explain it. Passing through the same point over, and he's like, oh, never mind.
Up, yeah.
And then they're like, oh, you came back. It's like, not by choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like some galactic yo-yo.
Yeah, this is nice.
And that's kind of it, really. That's the story over. It's kind of rubbish beginning and not too bad around.
And episode 1's terrible. Episode 2 is kind of half terrible. And then, like, the end of it is actually pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Episode 3 and 4 is pretty darn good stuff, I have to say. So it's like a complete mixed bag. You know, it's like... just talking about it, actually, I think the opinion of it's slightly raised just thinking about it. Because, it's... But episode 1 is complete crap, though.
It is rubbish, yeah. So, I guess 3 good points.
Yeah, okay. So, actually pretty much the entire ending. Like, the entire ending sequence with, like, the high intensity, everyone's being attacked in the base... There's the cars, like with the Axons being flown all over the place, and the Doctor, who's in a precarious position, may or may not be giving up to the Axons, and like it's all really good. That whole ending sequence is just really well done, keeps you on your toes, and is really quite entertaining. I would say,
what are you crazy frog? What's going on?
That's just on a motor or something. There's lots of nice little dialogue moments in here. Like I'd say, like I mentioned, like the "Shall I scramble" moment, or like "On the contrary, Doctor, we can" and such. There's lots of like nice little there's really strong lines in here, like that just kind of stand out at you. And yeah, just I say the Axon designs and kind of the concepts of what they're trying to do in general is just kind of really quite strong.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, my 3 good points. I love the Axons as creatures. Good idea. They're all one being, and their plan's pretty decent. I like it. Kind of confused on why it's called Claws of Axos, though. They didn't have much to do with it. They were in the Earth, I guess. Claws. I think they could have done... I think the other names that they had for it were a bit better originally. But
Vampires from Space.
Not that one. But, yeah. Another good point is definitely the end episode is really, really good. I really like the bit where they're all attacking and, it's all high stakes and, how it's being played. And 3rd point, I don't know, the use... sets aren't really used because they use real places, so it's nothing built.
Except the Axon spaceship.
Yeah, but that's kind of part green screen still. So I'd say just general acting is pretty okay. Yeah, it's not the best, but I mean, I know it's kind of when you say the ending, it kind of pulls in all the good points, really.
Yeah.
Good action set pieces. That's something I'd say. Actually, all the action set pieces are pretty decent. Yeah. Okay. 3 bad.
Episode 1, and Episode 1.
There we go.
More specific, the pacing in Episode 1, the entire old man bit, and like just so many unthought out ideas within Episode 1, and like some other things for Episode 2, but it's just mainly Episode 1 is just pretty dreadful. Like, that's basically where all of my points of bad come from, because it's a really bad episode, and then it just picks up from there, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay, some bad moments, I'd say. Definitely, episode 1 is really boring. It really is boring, and you want your first episode to be kind of Like, actually, you know what? That needs to be a statement on: is this going to be a good episode or not? Like, compared to last week as we reviewed Ark in Space, you know, it's that's how you do an episode 1: intriguing, exciting, good dialogue. But yeah, this is actually have your companion do something.
Yes.
So 2 is definitely Joe doing absolutely nothing. Like, she might as well have not been there. It's basically the companion light episode of the classic.
Yeah, pretty much.
And number 3, the music is awful. We forgot to touch on that. The music in this story is awful. I hate the music. The music just not melodical. It's just noises. It is really bad in this one. It hurt my ears. So the nerdy.
Yeah, I mentioned briefly about the episode name, The Vampire in Space, but it also could have been called The Gift, The Friendly Invasion, or The Axons in general. The Vampire in Space and the Axons were used in used throughout production of the final episodes. And in fact, there's deleted scenes which are shown in the DVD release, which actually have the original naming sequences with vampires from space in it.
I quite like The Gift. And that's why I think actually it's The Gift is used in Sarah Jane Adventures.
Yeah.
Makes sense. But yeah, big one, which is so weird because you don't realise it. For an unknown reason, the Patrick Troughton theme is used for these stories, but only in the intro. The outro is the John Pertwee theme. But the intro for Terror of the Autons, Mind of Evil, and this one are the Patrick Troughton ones, and no one knows why.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
It's really weird, and you don't notice it until like it was pointed out. I was like, oh my god, it is. Yeah, so this is the first time we see the TARDIS interior since the War Games. That's ages.
Yeah,
it's a season where we didn't see it.
First series, yeah. Mention the freak weather conditions.
The grenade that goes off went too early. As the Axons attack in the particle accelerator room, the TARDIS is seen in shot, though it was meant to be dematerialized. A personal nerdy thing is this is actually the final John Pertwee story I needed to watch. I'd seen all the other ones, so this was the very, very last one, because I didn't get it on VHS from my uncle, and I just hadn't got it on DVD yet, so it was the last one, which is a bit of a shame, because you know, I kind of looked at the Axons and I was thinking, oh, cool, this one looks like it's going to be pretty good. I mean, overall, it's okay, but I mean, when you have a bad episode 1, it doesn't set your
It does
thoughts.
kind of bring down the entire episode. I as I said, I didn't like this on my first watch at all. Like, I came out to it thinking, nah, this just kind of sucked. It's been kind of overrated over the years. And upon the second watch, it's like, you know, now I'm thinking, well, it's not all bad. It's definitely not all bad. But like episode 1
really lets it down.
The original script called for the Axons to land in Hyde Park. The spaceship shaped like a human skull.
And they loved that. The production team loved it, but they had to pull that back.
Budget and practicality. And the Axon costumes themselves were later repainted green and became the humanoid stage of the Crinoid in Seeds of Death. Doom. Death
is Ice Warriors. The unit's mobile HQ is portrayed by a BBC outside broadcast fan, which was pretty cool, with just the BBC logos obscured. So yeah, that was an interesting one.
Nicholas Briggs jokingly said in a David Tennant video diary that if they didn't finish the ending of Rise of the Sideman, the beginning of Age of Steel, they would have to do a Cause of Axos rewrite.
That'd be pretty funny. A common myth is actually the colour separation overlay background was accidentally placed in some of the car interior scenes, meaning a blank blue void behind. But it's not. They just filmed it at a time of day where the blue was just that. It did kind of look out of place. It did look out of place. They could have just used anything else. Also, the TARDIS interior camera is in one of the round things instead of like on a rectangular or square screen as usual. And this was used again in Time Monster, the Time Monster.
When they had that brief other TARDIS.
But yeah, that's kind of it.
I wonder if the TARDIS they used here was the one which they still had from the Patrick Troughton era.
It is, because part of the round ones are just 2D. They're just painted, they're just the picture, and the other ones are the 3D ones.
Before they finally decided to change it.
Originally, the doors led straight outside, but actually when the doors open, you see
I noticed that. That's bizarre. Like, in other stories, you see it and it's just black outside, but like they had it to where the circles were outside. It's like, why was that the case? That was odd. That was odd.
Yeah, the model shot of the TARDIS exterior in part 4 shows us an John Ambulance sticker, unlike the actual prop itself
I
seen
saw
in the
that.
episode.
I wonder if that was... They reused one from earlier. Well, actually, that would have had to be really earlier if they reused one from that.
In The Last of the Time Lords, the Master mentions the Axons to the 10th Doctor when they're talking about all that
he
stuff.
does, when all the times they had.
Yeah, it's kind of everything of super interest. So, conclusion, Conrad.
So this story, has been kind of always interesting to me. Like, it was one that I always saw, like, and I got this decently early on when I was collecting John Pertwee episodes. I now have them all, so. But when I first watched it, I really didn't like it. Like, I was kind of bored. I was kind of wasn't particularly convinced by the monsters, and it just really didn't have a good thought of it. Now, it's changed. Like, episode 1 is terrible. It's really, really bad. Like, episode 1, like, I think it's the worst. It's one of the poorest starts to a story. Like,
Doctor Who, probably.
It's up there.
Well, actually, Time and Running.
I mean, there's a few really. Time and Running, of course. There's a few, but it's really poor. It starts to pick up episode 2, and by the time you get to episodes 3 and 4, you're invested again. Like, at least upon my second watch, I was brought back to it, so I was just kind of taken aback. Like, oh, this isn't too bad. Actually, this is pretty decent. And, there are a lot of cool moments here, and like some really nice moments. In fact, primarily all of my bad points come from the first episode, but that is an issue when you want to start on with your
best foot
forward, and here they really haven't. So it's like, it's quite difficult for me to pin down where I would put this episode. I have probably been talking about it, being conflicted between 5 and 6. But I think because more of the episode is good than not, I'd put it at a 6. Just because of that. Like, because, it's kind of, like, most of it is pretty decent, and, like, especially the final action scenes are really good. They are really good and really entertaining and really intense. But it's just that first episode which kind of drags the entire thing down, really, for me. So yeah, I'm going to stick to a 6.
So yeah, Claws of Axos was an adventure, I guess. To be honest, it wasn't all bad, but just a lot of talking and not too much action early on, which kind of let it down. I think it needed to have a stronger beginning to help with it. I'm not saying that talking is bad by itself, but just look at Midnight, for example. But dialogue was just boring. It was lackluster, not very interesting. It was just all this government rubbish, which it's okay sometimes, but it was just very, very kind of non-interesting if you're not interested in anything political. It's like it could have been used more subtly to be more interesting. The Axons, however, are really great monsters. Unique design and the idea there, which must get credit, but probably not the best to film from afar, like falling over like Teletubbies, because all I did was see Teletubbies. Whoa, diving out the way of a car. Like, why do they need to dive? They're organic creatures. Do they have nerves? I don't know. But at least this story has the Master. Only as enough a character caught up in the mess and not him being the mastermind behind the plot. I quite like that, him being just caught up in it, yeah. It was a good change up, as this season has the Master in every episode, so it was good to have him as a more, like, kind of less a role. The music in this story is terribly loud, not melodically pleasing. Whose idea was that? I don't get it. But episode 4 is really good, and it does, that does really pick it up. But then in episode 2 and 3, there still are some really boring and slow scenes. It's only really episode 4 which really kind of was really, really good. So overall, it's not the worst Doctor Who story out there, far from it, but it's definitely one of the Third Doctor's weakest, I'd say. I'd give The Claws of Axos a 5 out of 10. It is just too. There's still other scenes in episodes 2 and 3 which kind of make it a bit still. And with episode 1, it makes those far more noticeable. say if episode 2 was episode 1, and it was like that, and then say it was like 3 parts, and you just kind of cut the most important bits from 1, added it to 2, you know, shifted it about a bit, it would have been fun, and it definitely would have been a 6, maybe even 7. But with 25 minutes of utter boredom, and then add about probably 5 from the other 2, that makes it about, you know, 35 minutes of quite boringness. It's you know, it's quite hard to make it as cool as it could have been. So yeah, that's why I'm gonna stick with the 5, I think. But yeah, talking about it did raise it. I actually had it at 4 to start with. But yeah, talking about
I had it about a 4.
But yeah, like, talking about it has made me realise actually it's not as bad as.
Yeah, it's really not.
I definitely enjoyed it this time more than on
definitely.
I mean, the Phyla fight was like impressive. I was very pleased with that. Pleasing to the eyes. So that's what we thought of the Calls of Axos. Let us know below what you thought of it. Yeah, so subscribe
or not. You know, don't be like that government guy and just go along with the plan just because, you know, these guys might be nice. You know, go off fact, whether or not you actually like us or not. You need to go off what you see in front of you and make the decision for yourself.
Oh, on point this week. Step up from last. Yeah, and if you haven't watched last week where Conrad missed the obvious, go watch our Ark in Space review.
But I think I still kind of got something which made sense.
It was okay, but you missed the obvious. But thank you very much for listening. We hope to see you next week. And yeah, boy.